Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and today I'm bringing to you day one of Glitter and Glam. Last year during the holiday season, I did 5 days of glam and some statement lips and things like that. So this year I decided to bring to you 5 different glittery and glam looks and just get some use out of the palettes that I'm using for Shop My Stash this month. Inspire you guys to look within your own collection. You don't need these palettes that I'll be featuring. You can look in your own collection, find things that are shimmery, metallic, glittery, and so on, whatever your level of glam is. And today we're jumping into the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. She looks like this, and we're gonna create a glam look, hopefully. So what I'm hoping to accomplish today is a smoky eye with a glittery eyelid, and the glitter that I'm most excited to use, I don't even know if I've actually used this one, is this silver one right here, which is called Dripping Diamonds. So we're going to go ahead and build up a very neutral, basic, smoky crease, and then we're going to get into that beautiful silver. So going in with the biggest, fluffiest brush that I'll use today, I'm going to start out with the lightest brown matte in the palette. There is also a cream, a darker matte, and a black. So we're going to make use of all of those today. So first going into So Bougie. Hopefully the lighting is pretty good today. It is super windy outside, so you may hear that. So I'm just blowing this out in that transition area, taking it pretty high up toward the arch of the brow. So now I'm going to go in with the next smallest brush. If you can see here, we're just stepping down a little bit inside. It still has that pointy tip to it, so I can get it directly into the crease. And this is just a little bit more stiff of a brush, and that's going to help me to keep the darker shade down a little bit lower in the crease. We're going to go in with this shade right here, which is Cocoa Truffle. I'm going to put this right directly into my crease on the outermost part of the eye. And we're going to build this up gradually, as always, because you can always add more, but you can't take it back very easily. I mentioned that idea in my Copper Smokey Eye video, which I will link. Go a lot more in depth in that video on how to create both a gradient in your crease as well as kind of a smokier eye. And I talked about just like cooking and spicing food. You can always add more, but you can't take it back. So just go in with a little and build as needed. And I'm also going to start applying this to about the outer half, third to half of the lid, because when I go in with the black, and the black is going to go on the outer corner and just a tiny bit up in the crease, when I place that black, I'm going to have an easier time blending it, getting opacity, and not having any patchiness if I have this slightly lighter shade underneath. And in terms of the shape of this eye look, you can go whichever way you like. I tend to like to keep a smoky eye a little more rounded for my eye shape. But if you find that winging your shadow out a little bit, pulling it out toward the temple is more flattering to your eye shape, this is going to look just as beautiful like that. Now that I think we're looking pretty nice with our mid-tone brown, I want to go back into the first shade, which is So Bougie. And just make sure that we have a nice blend. There's no harsh edges or patchiness before we go in with the black. Once we go in with the black, we're going to want to do the most minimal amount of blending as possible, because the more we blend, even if it's up here in the transition area, the more likelihood we have that the black is going to come up farther than we want it to. And if you have to work back and forth, like if you blend out with a lighter shade and feel like you need to deepen things up a bit, you can do that at this point. For me, I'm wanting to get the transition and crease shades exactly where I want them before I put down that deepest shade. And this applies to me really honestly with any look that I'm building a gradient in my crease, which is a lot of looks. So, and if you can perfect this basic like crease gradient, your eyeshadow game is absolutely going to change for the better. Now,
brace yourself,
because we're going to get into the black. It's going to be okay. If you're someone who tends to have a lot of fallout or create a lot of fallout or what have you, this is absolutely a time where I would consider doing your eyes first. Now, sometimes when I go in with the deepest shade, I want like a teeny tiny blending brush like this. Other times I want more of a pointy blending brush like this. This one's flat, this one's pointed, and sometimes I want a very dense, small, domed brush. I feel like we're gonna at least start with the domed brush, and then if I feel like I need to feather things out or diffuse them a little bit, I will go in with one of the blenders. So we're going to go in the black now, which is called Decadent. Load up the brush, tap it off. Do the hokey pokey maybe if needed, depending on the black that you're using. And we're going to start this on the very outer V of the lid, or the outer corner of the lid. We're not going to bring it up even close to the crease right now. We're just going to deepen about the outer third, maybe the outer fourth of the lid. You can do this. And I'm just going to dab it on, starting in that outer part, very, very outer tippy corner of my lid, and then working it in at an angle along the upper lash line. And then I'm going to start working my way back up. As I'm working, I have less and less pigment on my brush, and I really am just working to make a triangle in the outer V of my lid. Now that I have the bulk of the pigment placed, I'm going to start doing teeny tiny little blending motions, mostly back and forth, to start to just kind of make sure that this part of the lid is all shaded in. And then once I'm pretty certain that I have very little pigment left on my brush, I'm going to bring it up to meet the crease. All right, we have that part done, so we're gonna go back to this eye and deepen up again the lid. It started to fade a little bit. You go to whatever opacity of black is comfortable to you, and then once I'm done intensifying my black, you can start following along again. Hold please. Caffeination imminent. We're going to do the exact same thing, starting on the very outer V of the eye and working it in on the lid, and using patting motions or dabbing motions until you're sure you get the most of the pigment off, and then bringing it back up to meet the crease. All right, step away from the black. You can continue going on with this part of the eye look until you're happy with where it's at, and then we'll move on to this next part. So what we're going to do now is go back into the previous shade, which is this one right here, Cocoa Truffle, and I'm going to go in with that pointed teeny tiny blending brush. I want to do the pointy one because it's going to be more targeted and I'm going to have more control on how far up the black goes. It is really blowing snow out there. Okay, I'm back. So going back into Cocoa Truffle, again, we're gonna tap it off. So starting on the outer V of the lid We're just going to go back and forth in the creasel area, you know, making a gradient. You don't want it to be light brown, medium brown, black. You know, you want that fade. So we're going to create that by working back and forth with our 3 depths of shadow. And at this point, if you want to take your fluffiest brush or your mid-size brush and do a little blending, you can do that. I'm going to use my fluffy brush here and just kind of just kind of blend the outermost part of the eye a little bit. Now, once you have the whole smoky situation ironed out, then I want you to go back into that fluffy first brush, but we're gonna go into the same mid-tone shade, which is cocoa, I wanted to say chocolate, cocoa truffle. Load your fluffy and just dab this over the black on the lid. It's not taking any black away, but it is making the black look more seamless and more homogeneous with the rest of the eye. If you're new to this, there are many ways to create a smoky eye. This is just how I do it. Now I'm gonna take that same brush, clean it off a little bit on the wash cloth that I always have on my vanity in front of me. And again, one last little light blend, just making sure if we got any of the darker brown up into the crease that it's blended. Before we get into the glitter, we're gonna go ahead and do the lower lash line. We're gonna take the same brush that we used for our black shadow, and we're going to position this right in the very outer corner of your eye where your lid upstairs and your lower lash line downstairs meet. And we're gonna position our brush there, and we're just going to just barely smudge this along the lower lash line about as far in as the black goes on the lid. And then we're going to take the same brush, going back into our mid-tone cocoa truffle, and we're going to take that from the very outer corner again and work that in all the way or as far as you want. Always starting back on the outer corner if you reload your brush, so that the bulk of the pigment is still being placed on the outermost part of the eye. Okay, so one thing you're gonna see this week is that I'm gonna use glitter glue for all of the glitters. That's how I prevent the most of the fallout for my face. I don't generally get a lot of fallout, but if I do, it's from glitter. I'm gonna take this very flat, let me see, can we see it like this? This very flat, rounded brush. It's very, very thin. This is what I always use for my glitter glue unless it's dirty. Take a very small amount of the NYX glitter primer. You can see how little right there. I'm going to start it right here in the middle of the lid because that's where I want the most grip, the most tackiness, and the most glitter. Going in with dripping diamonds, I'm going to take a somewhat fluffy shader brush here, load up my brush, and we're going to start the glitter the exact same place where we started the glitter glue. And we're doing this pressing motion. No swiping.
Swipe or no swiping.
And as we go, we're continuing to press. It may look like I'm swiping, but I am not. And you're bringing this all the way up to the crease. How far you go up, if you go above the crease, that's all up to you, boo. You can feel free to make any changes as you go with this process. And as always, I'm going to bring my lid shade a little bit above my crease, sort of buff it up into that transition. I don't want any harsh line, but I also want that beautiful lift to the eye. Beautiful. All right, so to blend the silver with the black, we're not going to use black. We're going to go back in with the mid-tone shade, which, if you recall, is Cocoa Truffle here. And we're going to go into the original brush we used with that shade. Load up the brush, tap off the excess, and then we're just going to tap back and forth between the silver and black with the brown. You guessed it. You were so smart. And I just find that working with the mid-tone when blending the darker and the lid shade together just works better. I feel like it looks, you know, more faded. And you absolutely can re-intensify the black if you feel like you want to, or use the black if you like. But I just find that this has a little bit nicer of a fade and less harsh, more beginner friendly as well. And now it looks more, you know, streamlined. It doesn't look so stark of a silver. So last step, brow bone and an inner corner highlight, and we're gonna go into the matte cream shade, which is called Rollin' in Dough. I think a matte inner corner and matte brow bone are just nice. That's just me. And I think, you know, it keeps the focus on the smoky part of the look and still brightens the inner corner without being shiny, especially when you're working with glitter. Like, I don't want to take away anything from the glitter by putting something also shiny on the inner corner and the brow bone. All right, this is the finished eye look. I'm gonna pop off of here, do some eyeliner and mascara, and then we'll come back and I will have a lip on and I'll tell you what everything is. I will say that even though this is a smoky eye, I'm going to tight line the upper waterline with a brown. This is a very dark brown. This is Earthquake from Marc Jacobs, but that's what I'm going to do. And then I think I'm just going to go with a matte nude on the lower inner rim and probably my CoverGirl Exhibitionist, because I find that this is the most dramatic mascara I currently have open. All right, this is the completed look. I went ahead and added my Bite Beauty Amuse Bouche lipstick in the shade Rhubarb. I wanted something pinky, a little bit more cool tone to go with this look, and this is also in my Shop My Stash makeup of Christmases past for the month of December, so I'll have that linked up for you. Also wanted to mention that everything that is on my face today, along with the eye look, will be down in the description box below for you in case you're curious, so be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me today. Don't forget to top off your glam looks with some jewels or jewelry from Target in my case. And with all of that said, I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful glitter and glam makeup days. I will see you tomorrow for day 2.